In this video, if you don't know your life's purpose, I'm going to show you how to discover it. Now, I'm Benny D. If you don't know, over the last 3 years, I've generated over $3 million in revenue, helping health and fitness coaches scale from $0 to $10,000 a month just by creating content and selling info. We won the school games twice. 8 of our clients have won. I've hung out with Hormozi, got great photos with him. Sam Ovens, the creator of School. I've hung out with Ty Lopez. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I figured out my life's purpose and how you can do the same. So if you don't know, I wish I knew this. I wish I had this information 10 years ago. If you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life, this is the exact video that you need to watch. And this is drawn complete inspiration from Socrates. If you want to read the accompanying book, it would be Phaedo, which is the death of Socrates when he drank hemlock and died. And these were his last words. This was his last bawling sentence, last bawling statement. This is what you want to check out. So success is recollection, the Socratic path of purpose. Cool. The fear of death and the fear of failure. You should not be afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die at all because the soul is indissoluble. And what that means is that you can't break it apart. You can't destroy it. If you try and find a soul, you can't find it, right? Which means it's indissoluble, which means it's indestructible. And life and death cycle eternally. And the way that we can find that is if there was no life after death, if there was no life, if everything just moved one way and there was just death, then the whole world would be dead because there'd be no life. And so what we can understand is just like when there is no heat, there is cold. If there's no life, there is death. And if there is no death, there is life. So when death occurs, life is the opposite. Just like when there is no heat, the opposite occurs. Okay, so we can then extrapolate from that when we die, life begins, which means you're okay. When you die, another life begins. Opposites generate each other. There's no final vanishing point, or else everything would be dead, right? Okay, so now that we can breathe and go, cool, when I die, another life begins, which if you want to read Autobiography of a Yogi, they talk about the same thing. His mentor comes back from death and says, hey, I'm good, I'm up there, and I'm living my next life. So the theory of recollection. Now that we know that there is another life out there, what Socrates came to was there's a theory of recollection, which means learning is remembering. If we die and we live another life, that means in that other life we learn a lot of things. And if we are not in a physical form, which is very, very possible, right? Can't prove it, but it's very possible. If we're not in a physical form for a time, Autobiography of a Yogi will say this as well. You live 60 to 200 years in a non-physical form, and then you come back into your physical form. You're learning. And you don't get to bring that learning back down when you come back into your physical form. Very interesting, right? And so Socrates' thought process is you have a lot of information, but you've forgotten it when we were born. And so the theory of recollection is you need to remember. You're not actually learning new things. We are not learning new things. We are remembering, which is very interesting when you learn something and you go, oh, yeah, that's familiar. Or you just inherently know something. If you're someone who can inherently extrapolate what the math solution was in class, it's because you already knew it. And then the teacher's like, hey, show your work. And you're like, I don't know. I just know. You know what I mean? That is a very common thing in the human experience. And that is because we already know the information. We just have to remember it. So truth pre-exists. Mathematical equality, justice encountered before birth, knowledge uncovered, not created. The information is already out there. If there is information, right, God, if we can even conceptualize information, that means that it's already out there. If we can conceptualize a perfect world, it's because God is perfect and gave us the ability to envision a perfect world, or else we would not be able to think of a perfect world. So if that's true, then ignorance is not lack of intelligence. And this is one of the biggest heaters for me because I was told I was genuinely dumb as a kid. They put me in the slow class. They put me in an alternative school. They told me that I wouldn't amount to anything. And I truly believe that I was not intelligent. And a lot of my friends who are now doing like $30,000 a month were told, you are not going to amount to anything. It's because you're not smart enough. And so ignorance is not a lack of intelligence. And there's very few people who are actually limited by intelligence. You just need, if you want to play the IQ game, you just need an IQ at average, right? 100. And even at 90, 95, you can still do absolutely everything. Okay. It's just forgetfulness. We arrived embodied, limited, and partly amnesic. we are having the human experience, which means it's a physical experience. So we are limited by the physical limitations, which means we have a physical brain. We don't have a brain plugged into Google Drive, right? We don't have access to the cloud, to God's cloud, if you will, not Steve Jobs' cloud or Google's cloud. We have only access to the physical matter within our brain, and that is limited by the physical. The soul remembers, though. The soul is indissoluble, which is where you have those moments where you have deja vu, as you remember something. You remember, you have those moments where you know the answer, but you can't explain why. You know what happened, but you can't explain why. Women are very good at this. Women have that instinct. They just know something happened before, but when it happens, but they can't explain why, right? The body forgets, the physical forgets. And this is philosophical extrapolation based on Socratic principles. External truth exists, okay? Like I was just saying, external truth is already out there. The truth is already there, beyond the physical. Human condition restricts. Life is an alignment process, gradually regaining connection with eternal truth, which is why a lot of monks and a lot of people will be ascetic in nature, meaning they eat very simple foods that allow their frequency to raise because their body isn't so focused on digestion. This is why I don't personally recommend just going completely vegan, but I've gone on 19-day juice fasts because I can clean out my body and really align with God, align with that higher frequency that is more difficult when we're eating a lot of heavy foods. And so we go through cycles. The 3-step path. Now, this is the bread and butter. This is what I'm super duper excited to talk about today, is this 3-step path toward purpose and meaningful action. So if you want to discover exactly what your life's purpose is, this is what you want to do. You want to first have humility and understand that we don't know everything, right? Admit it. We don't know everything. A lot of people, we want to know stuff. And so what we do is we find a little bit of information and we hold to it. But if we've studied any type of science, it's understanding the main goal about understanding is first trying to disprove our hypothesis. If we have a belief, our main goal, the best way to really solidify and prove that belief is to try and disprove it. Because if you can disprove it, okay, now you need to go find another belief or tweak it a little bit. If you can't disprove it, that's amazing. Now you've got a really strong belief, and now you can have other people try and test it. The last thing that you want to do is have a belief, not try and disprove it, and then have somebody else come over and disprove it. Then you look like a dummy, right? And a lot of people are doing this. They have beliefs and they're not disproving it by themselves, and they put it out into the universe, and they put it out on social media, and people are going to make them look like idiots. And then what happens? They push back because their ego is engaged and they don't end up learning anything. So it's great to be able to take a side, take a stance, take an opinion. It's also great to be able to then challenge that opinion yourself, or at least have humility, admit that you don't 100% know, right? We don't 100% know anything. It's very difficult to know a lot of things. And so once we recognize that, then we need to have the humility. This is where most people get stuck. So if you can get past this stage, and this doesn't mean you're like, oh, I'm past it, humility. Every single day, there's still stuff that happens to me where my ego is triggered. I lost a chess game yesterday and I was very upset. My ego is triggered. He winked at me. It's like, oh yeah, nice try, right? Every single day we try our best to have humility, okay? And once you can do that, at least some of the time, well, then we're able to educate ourselves. Then we're able to disprove ourselves and not feel like dummies. And so education is exposing yourselves. The best way to educate, expose yourself to great minds, stories, and truth. Now, this is where people make an even worse mistake, right? Number one, they don't have humility. Now we get to education, and I've done this time over time over time. I get to education, and I just listen to people who are alive right now, or people who are the loudest on social media right now, and I'll read something and I'll take it for truth. And I'm like, oh, this is the truth. We have to try and disprove them as well. So education is learning from other people, great minds, and then trying to disprove the great minds, which is why it's great to listen to Socrates, which is why it's great to listen to Kant, and which is why it's great to listen to Nietzsche. Nietzsche disagrees with Kant, right? There's opposing minds in the philosophical world. And so we need to listen to both sides, watch how they try and destroy each other. And from that destruction, we pick up the pieces that remain. And a lot of people are just stuck in self-help books. And I don't know if, I hope I touch on this, self-help, like, oh yeah, you should clean your room. Clean your room. Like, yeah, cool. Eat the right food. Go to the gym. To a certain extent, that's useful, but it's really more of a reminder of doing the things that you already know you should do. And so education is more like learning about history and the patterns that have already gone through multiple times in our life and in our before we were born. And philosophy, understanding how to think is one of the most important things in the entire world. We are coming to this world and it's difficult for us to think in different areas, right? And so if you can listen and read about how somebody else thinks, you can then think like Dostoevsky. You can then think like Neil deGrasse Tyson. You can think with these different thought processes that you've learned by reading. And so reading is so important. And that's why I recommend fiction. I love history and then I love fiction, because when you read fiction, you can see the extreme pull and the extreme end game of what could happen if you take an idea to the maximum, like 1984 George Orwell. So freaking good. Anything Dostoevsky, you can see psychologically how each person isolated acts. It's fascinating. And I'm not explaining this as best as I could because I am still in the education phase, right? I'm still in the education phase. And even when you're in the execution phase, you're still going to come back and you're going to educate yourself. Now, I know a lot of people, like Sam Ovens is in the execution phase. I asked him, I said, dude, what books do you recommend? He's like, I don't read books. Well, he already read 1,000 books, and I've watched his YouTube videos, so how he read 1,000 books. So he went past the education phase. Now he's in the execution phase. So he's not educating as much. He's more focused on executing, which is building school, right? And so once you're at the execution, you now know what you need to do. And this is what's so exciting is we don't know what we need to do here. And so we grab on what other people are doing. This is when I was working as a waiter. This is when I was trying to get signed to a label and have them tell me what type of music to make so that I could make enough money, because I just wanted to feel good about myself and show people that I had money, right? And so I wasn't living my truth. And then I started to educate myself. Now I have a stack of books and I'm reading every single day, and I'm starting to recognize what I want to build and what I want to do with my life and what actually aligns with me and who the heck I am in the first place. Right? What do I stand for? What do I not stand for? What are my morals? What am I passionate about? What am I not passionate about? This is where you actually get to learn yourself. And this is incredible because I had no clue who I was. And I still don't know who I am. But by educating myself, I get to understand who I am and who I'm not. And then the execution, you start to really see who you are going to be. And that's so exciting to me. And this is a longer video than usual. Maybe I need to be more succinct. I apologize if so. If you've gotten this far, leave a comment so I know that this is useful for at least one person. Why self-help isn't enough. I already went through this. It's just maintenance. It's like, yeah, sleep enough, lift weights, eat well. It's great reminders, but it's not destiny. It's not going to allow you to get to that next stage in life. It's just going to be a maintenance. Fiction is cognitive expansion. I already went into this. Moral imagination. You get to inhabit other minds. You get to build perspective. So important to build perspective, right? I grew up in a certain environment and I have a certain perspective because of that environment. Other people grew up in a certain environment. They have a certain perspective. And then you have those two people come and they don't see eye to eye. Why not? Because this person has this perspective, this person has this perspective. Now, if you read books, you can expand your perspective. So now this person comes in, boom, oh, I can see your perspective. He can't see mine. Now he needs to read books. Boom, he's expanded his perspective. This is one of the most important things that are going to solve like the divide and conquer tactics of the elites, of the people who are at the higher echelons, where they're dividing by race. Because once you read enough, you realize you really don't need to divide by race. And even if you look back in history, Will Durant, a lot of races marry together. Okay, you can marry together if you want to marry together, and you can still be friendly when you meet other people, which is then you read the Bible and you like treat everybody the way you want to be treated. Kant's philosophy, right? So by reading more, we can see from other people's perspectives and getting the history of like why Black people are in the terrible position they are right now, and also why they need to get out of the victim mentality, the pros and the cons of where they're at in the society, why Jewish people are in the position they're in. You can understand where they came from, how they got here, and what's to come. You can even predict the future. So this is why fiction is so important. This is also why history is so important, understanding what happened at the concentration camps, what happened with slavery, how did it happen, all of this cool, all this interesting stuff, the Egyptian pyramids, all this stuff. Now we've got assimilation of the great minds. Guys, just read smart people. I just read people who are smarter than me. I just read people who, Plato, Nietzsche, Frankl, Feist, so great. Borrow their thinking patterns. Your brain becomes a composite of centuries, which is freaking incredible. If you can just take people and put them into your brain, this is exponential growth. It changes everything. Month to month, you will not recognize yourself. I recommend going to ChatGPT, putting in a prompt saying, write me a list of 100 books that I can read or 10 books that I can read this year. And this is why I want to read them. And so pick the perfect 10 books. I'm reading 150 books this year. I'm already 18 books in. And it's freaking incredible. And I'm on February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. Success defined differently. It's not accumulation. It's not wealth without alignment. A lot of people think that you just need to make a lot of money. And you can make a lot of money if that's your goal in life, is to make a lot of money. But that just by making money doesn't make you a better person. It's just going to amplify who you are. So if you're an asshole and you get a lot of money, you're just a rich asshole now, right? And if you are an insecure, whiny bum, if you get a lot of money, you're just a rich, insecure, whiny bum, right? And so the goal is to figure out who you are, become that person, kind of burn off all of the fat, burn off all the bad stuff that you don't want to bring with you. You have to let those parts of you die. You need to let those parts of you die that you don't want to carry with you. And then you can be a well-rounded, understanding philosopher king, which is incredible. So educate deeply, question everything, even your own ideas. Most people don't do this. If you can just do this, question everything. You come up with an idea, question it, try and disprove it. Most people won't try and do that because they just come up with an idea and they want to prove it. Recollect who you are, execute relentlessly. Guys, if you do this, you're going to be 100% set. Well, I can't even say that. I can't even say that because I'm not 100% set. So boom, I already disproved what I've just said. This is some of the patterns that I have. I hope this video was useful for you. Again, the biggest things that you can do is educate. And if you want my list of 150 books that I'm reading this year, my master list, I'll leave it in the link so you can grab that. I'm literally actively editing it so you can see as I read these books. You can make a copy of it. What else would I recommend? I think that's it. If you guys want to chat with me, feel free to message me on Instagram at BennyDLowkey. Always happy to have philosophical discussions or whatever I can do to provide value. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.